My own shorts are down pretty much, and I've got some charts ready to go. I hope you'll find interesting. My own disposition, as you know, is really simple: bullish precious metals, and to a lesser degree, bonds, and bearish equities. So I've got two, and only two long positions, both pretty big: GLD, which I've talked about for months, and IEF, which is that 7 to 10 year treasury bond fund. So there's the only two longs in this first short. So I've got 20 of them, I think. 21, lucky 21. So yeah, bit of a mixed bag there. So let's hop into the charts and see what is what on this final pre-NVIDIA day here. The spider is just hanging out pretty much in the range it was yesterday. We're kind of a mirror image of yesterday. We opened, we're going to close strong. So these little two guys side by side, boring. Friday, of course, was a huge up day, and we've been just kind of hanging out ever since. The diamonds exploded higher Friday, eased back some yesterday, have recaptured a portion of that drop from yesterday. But again, I think everyone's just kind of waiting for NVIDIA. Because there's no other, well, I was about to say there's no other market moving news. There, of course, is the attempt at firing, I believe it is at Lisa Cook, of the Fed by Trump. It remains to be seen if he can do that. On the surface, he can't, but he's certainly trying to. And that really rattled the markets yesterday and sent the dollar lower, gold higher. So that is happening, but it hasn't been that catastrophic. It wiggled things up last night a little bit. As I said, the small caps are relatively strong compared to its compatriots. It's near where we closed on Friday. We've undone the damage from yesterday, and the lifetime highs are up here where this red dashed line is. And China, FXI, I'll give this another go. I haven't been in China for a little while. I've shorted them again today. That's one of the aforementioned 21 shorts. Very tight stop on this, just above yesterday's high. Pretty big position. And as always, it's all about this blue broken trend line, which goes back 4 decades. And in my estimation, these peaks here, 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 and here, and here it suggests to me that it's more likely they go down than up in the weeks to come. The cubes, like the spider, like the Dow, is up about 0.5%. Not much going on. This was the peak back on the 13th. We slipped hard, recaptured a chunk of that, and have been doing not a heck of a lot since then. We're just kind of lingering around roughly where we were near Friday's close. It certainly helps that the mega caps, the biggest of the big, the Mag 7, have been pretty much holding their gains. Tesla's pretty big laggard, but things like Alphabet, for example, have been at or near lifetime highs. Yesterday, a new record high on Alphabet, just a teeny bit below that today, but that's Alphabet, aka Google. And Microsoft, this blasted to a lifetime high back on the end of last month, and we've been burning that off. But on the whole, the big boys, the multi-trillion-dollar companies, have been holding their values up all right. And not to belabor it, but NVIDIA is the biggest of the big. They're a Dow 30 component. They are just foundational to. I just said we got another pop in the cubes there. Don't know why, but it's a pretty big deal. If the market receives NVIDIA's results Wednesday warmly, then lifetime highs Thursday are foregone conclusion. If for whatever reason, and I can't imagine why, but if for whatever reason people react poorly to the projections or the report, it could really shake things up badly on Thursday morning. The only real disappointment for me would be as if it just does nothing, because there's so little else going on. I've taken a somewhat cautious approach. I went ahead and I felt a little burned by Friday, so I took profits on my new diamond puts, and also covered my cube short position, which is why I'm not that bothered. The cubes are blasting off at the moment. So I've really stuck with a bunch of little equity shorts. What else is going on? Well, as I said, metals, gold in particular, I'm very enamored and have been for a long time with them, palladium, silver, gold. I'm kind of focused on gold right now. It's up over $20 an ounce right now. It is all about this triangle. We peaked on this on April 22, and that was 3485.60. Let's just make the math easy, make the memory easy. Let's call it 3,500. If we can get above 3,500, I think that's going to set off a lot of buying excitement. $3,700 could be days away if that happens. I think there's a lot of pent-up energy in this triangle, because in the past, and they've gotten shorter, we had kind of this consolidation zone, and then this one, then this one, then this one. They have these like couple of months, in this case 5 months, of grinding around within a pattern, and then finally it gets its act together and goes bursting forth. And so that's what I'm hoping for. Let's just put down as a marker this gap right there as sort of a do not cross below this line level. Pretty conservative, but GLD, which is what my actual position is, there's a couple of stops that might work here. A pretty tight one would be 306.43. Little more kind would be this price gap down like so, which would be 304.61. But we'll be a little more tight-fisted about it. Keep the line right there, and just keep our fingers crossed that we do ultimately cross above, in this case, 317.63. That is to say GLD, as opposed to what I was just looking at, which is the GC, the long-term continuous contract in gold. Miners, lifetime high. Gold miners is continuing to blast higher. Tremendous time this year. An individual one I've mentioned from time to time, another good day here, DBD, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nice green bars in a row. Not bad. And yeah, so that's going well. As I said, I don't have any large short positions anymore. I went ahead and covered those early today because I'm NVIDIA phobic tomorrow. But some of the littler fellows I'm keeping, there's Accenture. This is a new one I don't think we've talked about. Big head and shoulders on this one. There's the price gap, which I believe represents the neckline for this, or at least the relevant stop loss level. Salesforce, CRM, another nice topping pattern on that one. Then there is Dollar General, DG. And even though we're green across the board, retail continues to be weak, so DG is down over 1.5%. There's Geo Group, which is one of the private prison companies. Core Civic is the other one. I don't know if they're still called that, but there's a stop on that one, 22.20. That's GEO. And one other short here to share. This would be ConocoPhillips, COP, also down about 1.5%. And the stop on that one being anchored to yesterday's high. Now, I also mentioned, besides being long gold by way of GLD, I'm also long bonds, really IEF specifically. Bonds, 30-year treasuries, no, not interested in that. We've looked at ZB many, many times, and this to me still seems either boring or vulnerable, one of the two. It doesn't look like a great setup to me. I do think that a little more interesting is the shorter term, the shorter duration government securities. This is TY, the 10-year T-note futures. It hasn't made up its mind yet. It's been consolidating within this beautiful egg shape here. It hasn't broken out yet. And when it does break out, I think the move will be powerful. It's just a matter of which direction, which is kind of an important question. But my view, if you look at IEF, is that it looks much more likely for it to burst to the upside than the downside. That's a very nicely formed pattern. It isn't quite complete yet, but it's getting close. And I would say An appropriate goal in this one would be anchored to April 4's peak, 96.26, which is only 40 cents away or so. If we can get above that, that'll finish that pattern. I think that'll spell good things for IEF. Amongst all this green, there is one red item which agrees nicely with what we were talking about yesterday, crude oil. Yesterday, crude oil was bursting higher, and I made the point that I think that's probably about it, that it's pushing up against this big triangle. That's just what happened. We lost all of yesterday's gains, and all of Friday's gains for that matter. We're pushing into where we were back here last Thursday. It's not the absolute move that's relevant. I think it's the pattern I want to point out. And so that held nicely, this resistance line. And so crude oil's down at the moment, 2.36%. And in turn, XOP, which I have this lingering fascination with, is down not that much, but it's down about 0.75% and is still banging around within that pink reversal pattern. But you'll hear all about NVIDIA tomorrow endlessly through the trading day, and I'm sure into Thursday morning. People will be hyper-focused on it. SMH, which is the semiconductor ETF, is anticipating good news, it seems. We're near lifetime highs. Those lifetime highs were set back on the 13th of August. We were quite close to them, this red line up here. So there's nothing bearish or bullish really about this. It's just been really ever since, for 2 solid months almost, just kind of lingering around here. It doesn't quite know what to do with itself. It needs direction, and NVIDIA is going to provide that direction. There's NVIDIA itself, which is up more than 1%, quite close to lifetime highs itself. We'll just put a line like so, bang, right there. So that will be key to watch shortly after the close on Wednesday, and that's going to drive SOX here, the semiconductor index, whose peak still remains back in July of last year, 13 months ago. And it's going to be an exciting evening, that's for sure.
If you're not subscribed, subscribe right here. And if you want to meet me and the team in person at our next live event, hit the link at the top of the description.